Okay, so I'm doing another video today. This time we're going to install the 360 bird eye view cameras for the S4. So I already have the S4 itself installed, and if you need to see a video on that, you can I'll post it in the link, or you can see it in my YouTube channel. So the S4 is already in, it's just missing the cameras. So we've got everything here as far as the cameras are concerned. So you get 4 cameras, 2 are round, and then the other 2 are square. So the round ones will go into the mirrors, and then the square ones will go front and back. And you do get cables for them. They are color coded. So you've got black, yellow, red, and then blue. So you definitely want to make sure that you're installing the correct ones. They do have specific positions where they go. And that also affects the cables. So the lengths will be, like the rear will be way longer than the side ones or the front one. So definitely make sure you're installing the correct ones there. Okay, so while installing these, I actually noticed that these cables, the actual cables that you use to run, are actually labeled. They do have a very faint, right on the connector on the female side, there's a marking in English that actually tells you which one is which. So that one said front. This one does say left on it. And then so does this one. So all the other ones have the same thing. And then this one came with a handle, so essentially it's it looks like you take one of these, it goes inside of here, and then you put this over, and then you install it into the car. So that's the replacement handle that opens the trunk. They come with some brackets, so these are probably for the front and back, in case you don't have a replacement handle, because obviously not every car has the camera built into the handle. So some models might not have it. So essentially, this goes on the back of it, and then you would screw it or mount it somewhere. You've got the screws, and then they provide you with these rubber gaskets, whatever you want to call them. And you can see that this one's kind of crooked. It points to the side. So they already have these installed on the cameras, and these are straight. So if you look all around, they're straight. These are in case your mirrors are not flat on the bottom, because that's where these cameras are going to go. They're going to go on the bottom of your side view mirrors. So if they are not completely flat, you would use these to kind of make the camera sit a little bit better, more level. So that's really it. That's everything that came with the kit. I bought additional stuff. So I did buy pins, and these pins are for the door jambs, because you have to take these cameras, once you put them in the mirror, you have to route them through the door and then into the car. Obviously your door opens, so you can't really, route them nicely. So I'm going to show you right here. Right here is, where the bundle of cables right here goes from the door to the car. And then right up here, that's a connector. So the nicest and cleanest way to do this will be to put pins in there, and then cut the cable for the camera, and then pin it, and then insert it into the connector. So that way you have a nice clean way of passing it through from the door to the car. Otherwise, there's really no nice clean way of doing it. You can route the cable inside of here, and then if you really wanted to, you can drill inside of the connector and pass it through the connector, but then you're kind of destroying the connector. So you know, that's kind of the only other option. I know some cars have, I saw on the RSNav page, some people are saying that the 6 series and 7 series, possibly you might be able to actually pass the cable through without having to pin it. But I'm not sure. I've never actually seen it. I've only seen it in comments, so it's a possibility. But most of these cars, I would say that you're gonna have a connector, so you're gonna have to do it somehow, pass it through there. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I also made a bracket for myself for the front camera. So the front camera obviously is this camera right here. It's square. They provide you with these brackets right here, and this bracket, essentially what it looks like is you would mount it like this, and then you would put it, mount it somewhere on your car like that. So obviously I have the aftermarket honeycomb grill, so there really isn't like a nice place to mount this. It would just stick out, and you know, I was hoping to put it right here somewhere, and I really don't want it to be sticking out at all. I want it to look nice and clean. So what I was thinking at first was that these aftermarket grills come with these pieces. So they have these, they come with these pieces inside here, and this is for the front sensors if your car has one. Mine doesn't have it, so these are just blanks. But what they do is they use this, they put it behind the grill inside one of these holes, and then they literally just they hot glue it. So I took the idea from this, and at first, you know, I have this one from an old grill, and I was thinking to use this and mount it in there, but as you can see, it doesn't really fit, and I actually broke it. So from that I figured, well, I'm just gonna make my own. So I actually made a piece right here. I modeled it off of this, and then I made sure that this will fit nice and snug in there. I gave it like 1 degree angle so that it is looking down slightly, and so I'm hoping that this will fit. I didn't actually do the measurements on the grill itself. I didn't take the bumper off. So yeah, this piece pretty much goes into this. So the camera will go into the piece just like that. So this is what I'm hoping it's going to look like. So you can see this went in really nice and snug. I made these little tabs on the back, so here and here, so that it doesn't fall out, and goes in through the hole. So now I'm hoping that I can just put this right here in the center one behind the grill, so the camera will poke through the hole and this will sit behind. I'll probably do like hot glue as well, just because there's really doesn't seem like there's really any good way to mount it. So I'm essentially gonna do what they did. Go to the end of this video and I'll actually post the file for this, and then I'll show you how to where you can order it. You can have a company 3D print it, and you'll be able to buy this for like under $20. So this is my 2013 Audi S5. So that's the B8.5 chassis, and we're gonna install all 4 cameras. So one camera is gonna go in the trunk handle right there, replace that. I'm gonna place those other 2 cameras in the mirror on the bottom cover. So I'm gonna drill a hole and then put it in there. And then on the front, I obviously have the honeycomb grill that's going to go inside of one of these honeycombs right here. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the rear camera here. So before we start on that, we're taking the yellow camera, which is right here. So we got the yellow camera, and that's the square one, and we're gonna have to install it inside of this handle. So this is the replacement handle that goes in the trunk, and if you take the rubber piece off, and this is just holds on there, just wraps around it, and it's rubber, so you should be able to just pull it off. And on the inside of here you have this piece. This is where the camera sits. You want to take that out, and if you take that out, you can see right here is you've got some holes. You're going to take your camera, place it inside, and then you want to put screws inside of here to hold it in place. Okay, so I already took the camera and I installed it inside this piece. I got one of the screws in, and then I'm going to do the same with the other one. Let's see. So this is going to go inside of here, inside the hole, and then screw that in. So the cable comes out of the hole that's here, and then this piece now drops in to the handle. So you want to route the cable out the back where the hole is for it, and then this piece just drops in like that. There we go, and then just press it in. So that's that. And then we take the rubber piece and we put it over the handle, so it wraps around the handle. There we go. There it is. That's that. So the handle is ready to be installed now. Okay, so I'm gonna get started on installing the trunk handle camera. So here's essentially what I'm gonna do. So there's the stock one right there. So we're gonna have to take that out and then route the cables all the way up front to the RSNav. So we're gonna start here, gonna have to take all this apart, route the cable here, inside the liner, down one of these, go in the trunk, route the cable over here, back towards the front, and then once we are in the back, or in the front, sorry, I'm gonna route the cable inside of the car, essentially behind the seats, down the pillar a little bit, and then underneath this plastic right here, and I'll continue doing that underneath here, and then I'll come out over here and then shoot it over to the RSNav itself. Alright, so first we have to take this liner down off of the trunk lid, and then we gotta take these pieces down on the side. So starting with the pieces on the side, they just have clips underneath, so we gotta release those. These are just clipped in, and there's 4 of them, and then this just comes off like that. We do the same on the other side. Once all this are released, now we take the liner down to get started with that. So we've got, first of all, we've got these rubber bumpers right here. These have to come out, and these are just on clips. There's nothing there. These round ones can stay, those don't matter, those are not in the way. So the same thing on here, take that out, and then this plastic piece that's on top here, that's on clips as well, so we'll have to take that out. So I know mine is already broken. There's actually tabs over here. You can see there's one right here, but the other one is broken. So that's kind of how to get these out, is the bottom. First we got to take this handle off, the emergency handle. This is 2-piece, just on clips, so the top of it comes off, and then it pivots on a ball that just snaps in, so you can just kind of pull on it. There's the ball, and goes into that socket. And then the line, the mechanical line, that's just on a ball. You want to just release that. That has just a slot that it goes into. So, all right. So next we got to take out 2 screws. There's a Phillips screw right here. And then we're going to remove the screw that's right there. All right, now we got to take off this plastic piece. So this is a 2-piece. You're going to put this whatever you want in there, and then separate it from the other piece that's inside of there. It's kind of difficult to see. Practically like that. And there we go. That's really about it right there. Now we just have clips all around the outline of the liner. So you just start at one end and just put your hand behind the liner and start pulling on it. So once you get all the clips, you're gonna make sure that you get this plastic piece through. Essentially, we want to make this go through the hole. There we go. So we've got the camera here, and we want to get to that. So next, first I'm going to release these cables. Okay, so I've got the cables released here. There was this one that was kind of holding them together, and then they have these hooks on some of them. These are a really big pain to take out. They have these claws inside that I literally just bent the hell out of them to get them out because there was no nice way of doing it. So get the cables out of the way, and then we take the 10mm screws right here. We also have to go in and get there's two nuts on the back right there. Those are holding the camera in, but they're also at the same time holding this metal bracket. So now this bracket is loose for the most part. Let me see, I remember there's a clip I think on the back. Yeah, so you see there's a clip right here. This little clip, we have to press on that, and then that will release the bracket because that's holding it in place. Okay, so I've got that clip released, and then that was it. So we don't necessarily have to take this all the way out, but there's the handle right there. We have the connector in there that is for the actual handle. Okay, so there's the connector. Okay, and that's it. So that's it for that. We do have still the cable that goes to the camera. So there's two connectors that are coming off of that cable. This one is for the video feed. So it has this clip around it, I guess. This clip has to be released first. Okay, so there's the clip. And then we have just a clip on top, so press that and separate them. The other one is this one, which is the one that has that ridiculous clip on it. So it's just got two tabs on the side. You press those, pull that out, okay, and that's it. So we've got the stock camera now. So now we can pull out the camera here. There are clips on the side that kind of holds the camera in. So there, it's right here. So you got to press this clip, and then there's another one on the other side. So you got to press that, and then the camera will come out this way. It will come out here. The rubber that's around here gets usually gets stuck. So you got to give it like give it a nice push. Really hard one. Usually what I'll do is I'll push on the camera first really hard, push out, and that kind of breaks the seal, and then you want to press the clips, and then the camera should come out. Also, on one of these connectors that's on the camera, you have to pull it out through the bracket, through this hole, this round hole that's back here, and that hole is not big enough to actually hold, to get the whole connector with the clip. So the clip comes off. It just got a tab on one side right here. So there we go, just like that. So it's just like this. It's got hooks on both sides. You're gonna lift one of them and then slide it off. So there we go. There's the handle out. That's what it looks like. That's where the two nuts go right here. That's the clip that holds it in on each side. And then this is the other clip that goes into this metal bracket that holds the bracket in. So that's what you have to press on. And then the other two connectors. And we can install the new one in there. So there's the camera, and you want to make sure when you're putting the camera in that you're going, you know, if you put the cable inside of this bracket, that's where it comes out, because this little pocket right here is where the camera sits. Okay, before we start putting it all back together, you want to feed the cable for the handle through the hole and then plug it into the new handle. And now we can start putting the bracket back in. Okay, so I've got this bracket back in, and you can see the new camera is mounted. It's all in there. I've cleaned up all the wiring here, so I've got the two connectors that are left over. That's for the old camera, so those won't be connected to anything anymore. And then here's the cable that's coming from the new camera. So I'm just going to run it all along here. There's a harness right here. It runs down here, and then into here. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna take the really long cable that comes with it, because we'll have to plug that in at this moment. So female goes into the male side, and then I'm gonna run that all along here and down here into this. Okay, so cables are all nicely cleaned up, and I'm all running down here. The cable's just sitting here right now. So now I'm just going to put the liner back in. So that should be just straightforward. We're just working backwards now. Alright, so I've got everything put back together here. So I've got the cable sitting here. It's the video for that, or yeah, the cable for the camera. So now I have to route it in the trunk here. So we're going to start taking the side panel off. To do that, we've got screws right here that we have to take out first. So this holds the carpet down. There's one here, and there's one over there. So that's a T30 Torx screw right there. And then these just lift off. That, and then we have a clip up here. It's a two-piece clip. So first you take out this top piece, and then the bottom one will just come out with it. We have to take this handle. That's the handle that releases the seat. So there's a screw right underneath there. Got to take that out, and the handle just slides out. It kind of clips into the side of the carpet. Okay, so now we have to take the gasket off a little bit, because that holds it on top, holds the carpet on top. So just from around the corner here, down the side, and pretty much all the way over here, we're taking that one out because this plastic piece holds the carpet. It's over the carpet, so this we have to take out. And there's 4 clips, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 on top. So you want to just put your hand inside of there and pull up. Like that. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then for me, one's already broken a while ago. All right, so once we've got these plastic pieces out, we can take the carpeting out. So inside of here, we've got clips. Let's see if I'll be able to shine some light. Yeah, right inside here. So there's one here. There's one right there. And there's a third one right about here, but that one's broken. I already broke it a long time ago. So all I do is put one of these panel popper inside and just get that out. I've taken these out a few times, so now they're not very hard to take out, but when they're new, they are pretty hard. So, and then right on top of here, you just got to go around the whole arm. Okay, so I had to open the seat because otherwise the carpet doesn't want to come out. But once you have that down, it just comes down to the side, and then there's little tiny clips right there along the edge. Should be not big of an issue. And then here's with the clips that I was talking about. There's one right there, and there should be the third one should be right there, but that broke off a long time ago. So this is where they went in, right here, and one right here, and then the third one typically is right here into this hole. So now we have pretty much the whole side wide open for us. So I've got the cable right here, and so I'm going to continue running it down this arm and then into the trunk area. We have this piece right here that's running from the lid arm, and then I'm just gonna run it down the whole piece, the whole harness along the Audi harness that they have here. Make sure to tie it really good to the existing harness, because you know, as this arm goes up and down, if it gets pinched or caught somewhere, you're just gonna rip that cable. So zip tie it really good to this. So I'm essentially going to come down the harness that they have here, down here, into this big one, and then I'll turn around and go this way along the big harness that's on the side here, towards the front of the car. Okay, so I got the cable running right here. So nicely in there, zip tied all along this cable here, and then down here, it's sitting here, and then so it's going along this very long harness, this big harness here. Got it all inside of here, put it inside, and then now it's just over here next to where the seat is. So okay, so I have the camera cable right here. Right now it's just behind the seat, but I need to run it underneath this whole side panel, and I'm going to do it underneath the seat. So I need to take the back seat out. So the back seat out is pretty easy to take out. So to get the back seat out, you've got these clips. These are for the child restraint. Or actually car seats, and so you just take these and pull up on them. They're just clipped into right there. So that's just the cover, and then right here is also another plastic piece. So you gotta put your thumb actually in there and then just push down and out. This will just come out, so you can kind of see. You can see how that goes in. You got to push down, so then the pin goes up and then out of it. Once you get that out, you've got 4 of them. So there's one right here, there's one right here, and then there's 2 other ones over there. Okay, so I've got all the child restraint clips out. So they're all out. So now all we got to do is just pull up on the seat. So there's 2 clips, one right about here that holds the seat down, and another one as well on that side. So you just want to put your hand like right here in between the seat and then just pull up really hard, just like that, and that's it. And then just pull up to, in the front and out, and there we go. So there's these clips right here that typically will break. I guess I got lucky, they didn't break, but here's the part number in case you need a replacement. But usually you'll see when they do break, you'll see them, they'll stay in the car, and there's like a black piece that's all inside of it and it's broken, so you'll essentially know when it needs replacement. So all right, so I've got the seat out, and here's my cable for the camera. Right now it's just kind of stuck in between the seat and the side panel. Well, that's not how I'm gonna leave it. So I'm gonna tuck it in behind this panel. I'm gonna go underneath and then go under here, and then just keep tucking it in under there, and that should be fine. I don't think there's any need to actually take this whole panel out, but you can just do that, tuck it in there, and then I'm gonna come over here and then go underneath this, but I'll actually take this piece out. So I'm gonna do the cable, run the cable underneath here first. Okay, so I've got the cable tucked in underneath this. It's a combination of opening and closing the back seat, so you can get in there, but at first I had to fold the seat down so I can tuck it in underneath this panel in the back, and then once I got down here I had to open or close the seat and then keep tucking it underneath there, and then here we are here right now. So we're gonna take this piece out now, but in order to do that we gotta take this piece that's right here. So this whole piece right here goes over here and it actually comes up down the side a little bit. So then this is going to be in the way, so we have to take this out. So for this one you just need a plastic pry tool. You've got a slot right here, put it in there and just pry on that all around, just like that, and then that should come out. And then this piece here, just put your hand like right here, right where it ends, pull up on it and then out. So you might have to pull the gasket out. I don't remember how this goes in. Yeah, like that. So if we take this out right there, I think for now I'm just going to leave it here because I don't need to actually go in all the way. Actually, there we are. Okay, so we've got one clip right here, and then these go into either holes or I think that just goes into the carpet. And there's the carpet right there, so I think that goes in there. And then on top there's really not much here, so there actually looks like there's one clip right here, and that's about it. So we can put that aside. Okay, so now we can take this out, and we're just gonna put your hand in underneath and just pull on it. There we go. Okay, so back here it's all just unclips as well, but there's really no actual clips that clip in. These just hold it back, so kind of something like that. They don't actually clip in. Yeah, there's really not much here, but along here there's a clip here which the metal piece fell out, I think, and there's a bunch right here. So I gotta find the metal pieces that actually slid out of here. Okay, so now I have my cable here. So I'm just gonna continue running it underneath this plastic piece there. I'm gonna keep going. There's a harness over here. So I'm just gonna run it all along this harness here and just keep going into over here. So I'm probably going to get to right about here and just tuck it in there and put everything back together and leave it until I do the doors. So that's probably going to be it for now. All right, so I've got the cable all right here. It's all running right here, and then for now I just put it all over here. So that's for the backup camera there. So it's running all along here. I still got to cut all my zip ties, but this is pretty much as far as I'm gonna go with it for now. So now I'm just gonna put everything back together, put the seat back in, all the paneling, and then I still have to finish putting in the trunk. So I'm gonna put that all back together, and that's really gonna be it as far as the rear camera goes. All right, so the next camera that I'm going to install is the front one. So I'm going to mount it right up front, right below the emblem. So I'm going to have it right inside one of these honeycomb spaces. So it's going to be here. So essentially I'll run the camera wires, I'll mount it in there. I'll run it all underneath this piece along the headlight here, and then I'm going to go in right under the fender here. There is a harness right here, you can kind of see it. So I'm going to zip tie to that harness along here, and then once I come over here, the ECU sits right underneath here, and it actually goes through the firewall, so it is super easy to get wires in and out of the cabin. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'll run it, I'm not sure exactly where yet, but maybe here or here, and then there's an inlet into the ECU box over here. I'll go in there, and then I can go inside the car. And then once I get inside the car, the ECU is kind of like up there, so I'll come out of there, and I'll be able to somehow run the cables over and into the RSNav. Okay, so now I'm going to install the front camera. So for my car, it didn't come with anything specific. It came with this very generic bracket. The bracket is mounted on the back, so you have to mount it yourself, and then you use the provided screws that come with it. So I guess in general terms, if you needed to mount this somewhere, you know, I have the honeycomb grill. In general, I guess I'm not really sure where you would mount it. I guess you could do it like, you know, over here or underneath here, but the lower you go, the lower you are to the ground, and the camera can't see as much. In my opinion, it should be, you know, as high as possible. That way you can see as much in front of you as it can, and then the image won't be as distorted. So I'm going to mount it, you know, right here using the piece that I made myself, wherever that is, right here. This one is still a sample, but hopefully it works out. I did have it in black, so the black one actually is better looking, so I'm gonna do the final one in black, but I need to check it first. For this, I'm gonna actually take the bumper off because it's gonna be easier for me to install it. But if you're looking to do the same thing, use this or something, you can just look up how to take the bumper off. There are many videos online how to do that. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, so there's the bumper off. And I ended up actually having to remove the bumper and the grille. I did mount it right here. So again, this is just a prototype for me. My final one will be in black, so it will match the grille much better. but this is kind of what it looks like, and it's very subtle right underneath the emblem, so you can't really see it too much. It doesn't stick out. I know there's other ones that you can kind of put like in between here or underneath here, and I always felt like they were just sticking out too much, so I feel like this is a much better solution. Once it's going to be black, I think you just won't be able to see anything at all. The only thing that I did do, I had to grind away these inside of the honeycomb, so on the back of the grill, and then underneath here there is a support. You've got this support right here, so I ended up having to grind that away a little bit too, because the camera, once it was in there, it was hitting the support, so that was kind of in the way. But overall I think it looks good, and also it's, for the most part, it's resting on that support that's in the back. I'm still gonna put some hot glue on it. That's pretty much how they do these. These are for the sensors, so if you look right here, they literally just fill them with hot glue, and that's how they stay in. So I think I'm gonna do the same, especially that it's resting on that support in the back. I don't think I'm gonna have issues with it loosening or anything like that. So I think that's it. I'm gonna try it and just see how it works. Okay, so this is what I ended up doing. I've got the camera mounted now, so I used my little piece that I made. Here's another one. I made a couple of them. So this is what I ended up. This is what ended up being the final piece. So that's what it looks like, and I put it right down here. So it's right below the grill, and it's right inside of one of the honeycombs. I did have to end up grinding away inside the honeycomb so that this piece would sit a little bit flusher with the outside of the grill, but overall I think it looks okay. From far away you can't tell that it's any different than the grill itself. This is a printed piece, so obviously you can see a little bit of those layers in the print, but they're not bad. And then I just wanted to show you, so on the back, this is kind of what it looks like. And I ended up hot gluing it, just like they have their sensors here. So I hot glued it, and I think that's gonna hold. The only thing that I noticed is that when I was hot gluing it, the actual plastic from the 3D print was getting a little bit soft, so that hot glue was definitely getting melting that piece, or at least softening it. So I was trying to be careful not to ruin it, and make sure that it dries, that it's mounted properly before it dries. So that's what it looks like. And then I mentioned earlier I had to grind away something underneath the grill. So this is the support that runs across the bumper, and this was a little bit in the way, so I ended up grinding it away like this so that it would fit. So now everything should go in place right there, and it should fit. Okay, so now that I have the camera installed, the bumper put back together, camera's hanging right here. So the front camera, so going to take the cables now, and we're taking the black one. So the black cable is for the front. It does say front, I don't know if you can see that, but it does say front on the connector here. So we're going to take this. I'm essentially going to run this cable along here. This goes into the garage opener. So I'm going to run the camera cable along here, go underneath right here, and then I'm going to come out on the other side here. This is where the headlight is. So it's got a bundle of a harness right there. So I'm going to go along this, underneath here. That's where the stock goes, and then goes underneath the body itself. But I'm not gonna do that, because then I would have to take the wheel off and then the wheel liner off and then be able to feed it through there. So I'm just gonna try to kind of go underneath here, probably under the fender, and then just zip tie it underneath here, and then go around this foam, and then just come out right here. Okay, so I've got the cable zip tied. So like I said, I ran it along here. Here it is. I got it zip tied right here, and then right here. These are old mounting points, so I just cut off the old zip tie and then fed a new one through, so you can see where it goes. It goes right here underneath, and then comes out the other side, and it goes right here. Got it all along here, and I put it underneath. There's a harness right here, so I zip tied to this, and then I fed it underneath here, and then it came out over here, essentially under the fender. So I went under the this brace right here, and then came out over here. So I'm going to right over here. You can't really see it, but there's a hole inside there. I'm going to zip tie it. So we'll need to take the cowl off. So we start over here in the middle. There's a little cover. You just lift up on that. That's on clips. And then right inside of here, there's a clip. You don't really have to take it out. Just put your hand in here, grab the plastic, just pull up on it, and that will release the clip. And then on each side right here, you have these plastic nuts. You'll be able to just spin them by hand. Once you go to put them back on, you don't actually have to screw them in. They just push on. So there's that, and there's another one on this side. Okay. So now that we've got all that off, you start in the front and you start lifting this, the whole thing. You lift it, and then in the back, it's got like clips. They're not really clips, but they're kind of, they hug this piece. So you want to lift this piece out and then kind of start pulling forward like that. And then underneath here is what I was talking about. Like I said, it's not a clip, but it kind of hugs this the other piece together, so it's like that all around. So now we'll need to take out this is the windshield washer fluid. This is not really the reservoir. The reservoir actually is inside of the fender. This is just the top piece that you pour into, so whatever you want to call that. But right over here to the left is a 13mm nut, so we're gonna take that out. So there we go, there's a 13mm. And now we take this and we're gonna lift it up here, up in this side, and this gets a little bit tricky, but you have to give it a little bit of force, and then get this side up and then push towards that side so that this piece comes out. This is just, there's a grommet here, there's no clips, there's nothing, it's not threaded or anything like that, it's just pushed in. So you want to give it a nice push and then wiggle it. And there we go. So this thing is pretty long, so you've got quite a bit of pushing to do. So this is where the wall is, so it's pretty long. So, and then this is the ECU box. So this cover has what is it, 3 screws? Yeah, so these are T30 Torx screws. So there's one right here, there's one right here, and then there's another one, yeah, right there. So take those 3 out. So the 3 screws are out, and now we just lift on the cover hinges over here. So you want to lift this side up first, and then it just comes out. So it has these that kind of go in, and then they're slightly used like a hinge to keep the cover down, so they're all along here. So the ECU here has clips on the side that you just use your hand to press right here. It's actually just a tab. So there's one right here, and there's one, let's see, and there's one right there. So you want to press both of those at the same time and then pull the ECU out. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna press both of these, and you're pressing them out. So this one this way and this one that way. I'm gonna press them both, and then there we go. So the ECU will come out, and then right over here, this just presses in. The whole harness presses in, so it doesn't. It's not like it's screwed in or anything, but the ECU will come out like that. And this, actually, I'm not gonna pull that out. So this I can just put to the side, so the ECU is just sitting right there. And then right here is the hole that goes inside of the cabin. So for example, you can see this yellow wire right there. I actually ran that for my auto start, and it had to be ran over here into the engine bay, so I actually ran that previously, so you can see that's where I'm gonna run my camera cable. So I'm gonna go underneath there through this hole. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so right there, I'm gonna go into that hole right there. I'm gonna come out, and then I'll probably go up this harness right here to the side, and then through the grommet. Okay, so I just want to comment on feeding this wire. As I was feeding it through here, this grommet is a bit difficult to get into. So what I did over here is I used a pick, so one of these tools, and I went in right here and I lifted on. There's a spot where there's this brown wire coming through, and I took the grommet and I lifted on it. And then I fed this this household wire, which is pretty stiff, and it's hard, so it doesn't bend easily. So I fed it inside the hole, and now I taped the camera wire to it. And you want to make sure you get a good length on it, so that you're pulling by the cable and you're not pulling by the plug. Otherwise, you might rip it off, and obviously we know what's going to happen then. So now I'm just going to pull on this wire, and that should allow me to feed this through, because I tried to do just the cable and it just wasn't working. So this should help feeding it through that whole rubber grommet. Okay, so I've got this pretty much all the way in there. So you can see I've got the bundle of cables sitting right in that hole over there. So let me just recap where we were. So I ended up running the cable. So as we look at right behind the headlight, right, I ran it underneath here. So underneath this piece, under the fender, you can see it right here. I'm probably gonna put a zip tie right there. I can see there's a hole right there, so I'll be able to zip tie it. So it's right here underneath this, and then I fed it under this foam. So this is just foam, super soft, so there was no problem putting it underneath here. You can see that it lifts easily, so you can feed the cable underneath. And then I went to the other side. So over here, fortunately there's nothing nicer to do than just run it on top of here, but it runs over here, here, and then goes into the grommet. And then once it comes out over there, we can see it right here. So it's right here. It's going through this. So I just tucked it away on the side over here with all the other cables, and I've got it running here, and then it goes through the hole You can see it right there. So it goes through the hole, so you can see it. It's right here, and then the rest of it is just sitting inside of there. So that's pretty much it for the engine bay. So I'm just gonna go in reverse order now, put it all back together, and we should be done with the engine bay. Don't forget to plug in your camera here. So I plugged it in. That just pushes in, so there's no locking or anything, no twisting, it just goes in. And yeah, that's it for this part. Okay, so now I am going to start installing the cameras that go in the mirror. So these are the round ones. So these didn't come with covers, so we are going to have to drill a hole and then just install just the camera itself. So we are going to put this right underneath here somewhere. It's most likely going to be out here, but we will have to determine that first. So I'm going to start by removing the mirror. For that we'll need a pick. You can also try just using your hands, but I have two picks like this, a smaller one and a bigger one. Those are both 90 degrees. And all you do is you put something underneath the glass and then you just pull on it. It's on clips, so just like this. You have this clip right here and this that goes inside of these metal clips, and then you have clips all around here, all of these that hold on to this guy right there. So then you have all of these wires. This is for your anti-dazzle, and then these are for the heater, so it heats the glass. If you decided to take these off, be very careful, because these right here, they are very hard to take off, and you can rip off the pads off the glass, so it's very easy to ruin these. All right, so next we're gonna have to find a spot and figure out where it is exactly that we want to mount this camera. You want to essentially pick a spot underneath the mirror, and you want the most flat spot as possible, and you want it to be out away from the body as far as it is possible. Looking at this, there really isn't too much of a flat spot, so we have a pretty flat spot right here towards the body, but then if we look out here, it starts to curve with the mirror, and there really isn't too much of a spot where I could put it. So putting it back here would be ideal because it is the flattest there. But if I look inside, and this is kind of what they were talking about, what Daniel Kim was talking about, is that you want to be mindful of where you are going to put it and where you are going to drill. So if you look inside of here, you can see you've got all of this right here. This is where the bottom piece mounts, and then you've got the mirror frame inside of here. So there is no room right over here where I could drill. Looking through it, I figured that my best spot is right here. And also, another thing that you want to consider is that when your mirror is in, and when you tilt it, obviously your mirror tilts, right? So it goes left, right, up and down. When you tilt it all the way down, that mirror will go pretty deep in. So you want to make sure that when that mirror goes down, it doesn't hit the camera, and you don't want that camera to be in the way. That's where we're gonna put it, right here in this cavity. And so you've got this little gasket that the camera sits in. So what I did was I took this and I put it inside of here just to kind of mock it up, and I can see that, you know, it fits nicely. So if I did drill a hole and I put it through that hole, I'm not gonna have anything, you know, in the way. So I took some measurements. So I went from the center of this ring, and I went approximately to the edge of right here to the edge of the mirror, and that ended up being about, man, it's hard to see, but that ended up being about 45 millimeters right there. And then I also measured this way, so also from the edge to the center of that ring, and that comes out to be about 70 millimeters. And that pretty much centers it. Now, when I try to actually use the measurements like this, you know, because obviously it's from the edge, and then try to figure it out this way and then this way, it didn't really look like it was lining up. So what I did was, instead, I put my ring in there, and I pretty much put it where I think it was going to be the best. And then I took a marker and I eyeballed it, essentially the center of it, and then I marked my area, my center right there, and then I marked it also underneath the center. And then from there I just measured like this, approximately 45 millimeters, and then I was able to see where it needs to be. Okay, so once I measured my distance from the edge, I ended up using a pick to mark my spot. So now what we were gonna do is we're going to drill in this, but I'm not going to jump straight into the proper hole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very small drill bit, but I'm going to use it to drill a pilot hole. And the purpose of that is to make sure that when I drill where I marked it, that it ends up perfectly in the center of this. Okay, so I drilled, and this is really the whole reason. As you can see, it's not really centered. So I'm gonna have to move over a little bit, figure out where the center is, and then re-drill it. Okay, so I re-drilled the hole, and you can see that it's right next to the other one, just a tiny bit. And now I'm pretty much happy with that. It looks like it is at the center. I know that's hard to see, but to me that looks like it's more centered now. Okay, so RSNav does provide you with the drill, and the drill is precisely to the size that you need. However, they have said that these are not that great and that they ruin your paint. However, these are not painted. This is just black plastic. They did say to use a step drill like this, and this is 1 inch, so you essentially start drilling and it will slowly go and it will step through each one until you reach the bottom, and that's going to be your hole. But looking at this, you know, this is really tall, and I would essentially end up hitting this stuff right here, so I have no choice, and I pretty much have to use what they provided because this one's pretty low profile, and I'm not gonna end up, you know, hitting anything over here. So I did use this on the other side, and it worked well, and I had no issues, so I'm just gonna use this on this side as well. Here goes nothing. And there we go, pretty much right there. And just like I talked about, it's low profile, so it won't hit anything. There we go. It's pretty clean. The hole is pretty clean. Doesn't leave any, you know, it doesn't make it rough or doesn't damage it too much. It's a nice clean hole. Okay, so now we are going to install the camera in the housing. And RSNav does provide us with multiple grommets for mounting the camera. So you've got the camera here, and then they provide you with these 2 grommets. So this one is straight, it's flat, so this one is meant to be mounted on a flat surface. And then you have the other one, which is slightly angled, So that one is if you have it mounted at an angle. So I'm going to use the angled one because this isn't really perfectly flat. So what you're going to do is you're going to mount, or you're going to put the grommet in first. So this will go in first, and there we go. And you want the smallest, the thinnest part to be on this side, because my mirror goes like this. So the smallest part on this side, and the thicker on that side. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. So you're gonna feed it through the hole, just like that. And then you've got the actual lens. You want the lens to be sticking perpendicular to the car, so you want it to be sticking out that way. And once it's lined up, you just push it in. It's nice and tight. The hole is, and the grommet is made to be tight. So once I push that in, this isn't going anywhere. Like over here, you can kind of see that the grommet got folded underneath the camera. So you're gonna want to take like a pick or something and make sure that isn't, that it comes out. Okay, so now I'm going to install the wiring inside the door. Okay, so we're going to start by taking this panel off first. There's this plastic piece right here. It's kind of in a V shape, so that has to come out first. If you look underneath, there's actually a place where you can put something underneath it, but essentially we have to take this out. So this is on clips. I'm just going to use a plastic tool to get this out. You can also use a pick. There is a tiny hole right underneath here, which you can't see, but you can insert your pick right there and also pull on the plastic. And there we go. So these buttons will stay in. The only one that comes out with the piece is the lock and unlock. So next, once we've got this piece out, we're going to want to take this out. So you want to start in the back of this piece, not in the front, because there are hooks up here that slide into the door. So if you start up front, you're going to break them. So you're going to want to start in the back here. I'm just going to use a plastic pry tool, insert it underneath, and then just pry on it. If it seems like you're about to break it, that's exactly what it should feel like. And there we go, it just literally flew off. So you've got these hooks right here, and they go into these holes. So there's two of them. There's one here, and there's one here. So you can see there's screws underneath. So underneath this piece, there's one screw right here. That's a T25 screw. And then over here, underneath, inside that hole, right over there, there's another T25. Below here, we have one right there. Another one right there, and then all the way underneath the panel there's one right there. So now we're going to remove this panel. So essentially at this point it's all on clips, so there are clips all around the outside, but there's nothing up top. Up top, it's got like a lip that goes into the door, and then it just holds by that lip. And there we go. Okay, and there we go. So all the clips are out, and you can kind of see that now it's just dangling because it's just hanging on that lip on the bottom. So once the clips are out, we just got to raise it up. There we go. You can see, so here are all the clips. So those are the clips that are holding the panel, in, and you can see they are all the way around. And then underneath here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's that lip this lip goes in to the channel right here, and it holds it right here. So we got to remove this panel, and there are two things that are holding it in place. So first is this harness right here. That's for all the electronics. So right now underneath this plastic right here, this is protection for water. So you've got this cable right here, and it connects to this. So we're going to remove that. So you've got a right here, you've got a little tab right here, this blue one, that needs to be pressed in first. And once you press that in, you take that little lever and then you pull on it. And as you pull on the lever, the connector will slide out by itself. And then once you get it all the way to the top, we just wiggle it out. And there we go. So the connector is out. And then next thing that's holding us in is, so we've got the door handle right here. You've got this plastic little clip right here, so you can kind of see that in the front of it. I know that's kind of hard to see, but right here, it's got a little tab that we have to push up, and then as you saw, it kind of slid back. So now we just pull it back, and there we go. So now the clip is released, and now we just you gotta pull on the handle from the inside. So pull on the handle, and that will make it come out. And now you should be able to release the cable. So the cable has just got a little hook, and there's a hole right there. So that's all it is. It just goes into the hole. Actually, I lied. There's one more thing that we have to disconnect on this side. This is for the light that's over here. There's a little connector. Okay, so right there, it was just your typical connector with the locking tab on top. So press that, and then it slides out. And then at this point, that's it. So okay, so next I'm gonna remove the tweeter. This is the speaker. So this piece right here needs to come out as well. And this is really easy. It's just on clips. So you go pull on it from the bottom, from the front. And same thing on this side, it's got a lip. Okay, so you can see it goes in right here into this lip, and then on the back, this is where that lip is, and then it's just got two clips that go into those holes. So I'm going to have to remove this off the car because I need to get the cover off, and this is going to be in the way. So I've got this connector. So it's a simple connector with a clip on it. So you just press that and then pull it apart. And then these are the ones that are for the heater. Okay, so there we go. So it's just these contacts like that. And we're gonna have to take this cover off, and to get this cover off, we've got a couple of screws in here. So first we've got a Phillips screw right here, so that has to come out. Also, I don't know why these mirrors are missing them, but if you have a screw right here, that has to come out as well. But since ever I've owned this car, there was never a screw in here. And then we're gonna have to take out this gimbal. That's where the glass sits on it, and this is where the glass rotates. So there's another T10 right inside in the middle. This is just on clips, so you just pull on it. This was the screw that was inside it. It's very long. Okay, so at this point we're ready to essentially take the cover off, but if you've ever done this before, so even though the screws are the ones holding it, you do have clips right here. So you're gonna have to press this clip, and then there's a clip right here. You're gonna have to put something inside this hole to press the clip. This one's broken already. I broke it last time. This one's not. But also on the bottom here you have this piece that kind of holds it back, holds it in place. And that's really about it as far as clips. Okay, so you're gonna wanna use like a pick or something of that sort, and then press on these tabs, and then I'm essentially going to insert something inside that hole to kind of keep that tab pressed. Because I don't have that other clip, I'm not gonna do anything there. But insert something so that it stays, and then once you're here, you literally just grab it from this side, and then you just pull really freaking hard, like you're about to rip that mirror off. It's going to be a lot of force. So, okay, so once I got the cap off, so you've got two connectors here holding you back. So my car has the side assist, so it has the light on the side, so that has to be disconnected, and then you also have the turn signal that's over here. That also has to be disconnected. So the turn signal has a connector right here. You can see there's a little tab right in the middle. You're gonna want to press that and then take it out. And then the side assist is actually got a connector, runs right over here. So we're gonna pop that connector out, and then same thing, you can see it's got a little tab in the middle. Okay, and then here's the side assist connector. We've got the cable right here. So the goal is to now route this cable inside the mirror and to go inside of this hole. As you can see, that's pretty tight in there. This connector is also pretty big, so there's barely any space to feed it through there. But one of the things I'll comment on is, since I already installed the other side, I experimented with where to put this cable, what's the best place, and I found that I would put it right here where these stock cables are. You can't really fit this cable underneath, it won't go in. They have like these tabs that hold the wires, and this just won't go. I'm gonna remove these two screws right here, and that should give me just a little bit of leverage to pull this down and then route this cable underneath where the stock ones are running up here, and then just go along here, up, and then over here. I did remove these two screws. These are both T10, so one here, one right here, and then there's a little tab right here. I don't know if you can see that, and then there's a tab right there, and then in the back here there's a tab right there. So you're gonna press on all those, and then this will just move down. Essentially it'll be loose, and then you'll be able to put that cable underneath, and then once you're done, just clip it back in and put the two screws back in. So now we've got the cable, you know, so once I got it around, I just ran it up here with all the other cables just as stock, and then I've got this cable right here. So now I'm going to take the mirror completely off the door. And we have to do that because when I go to feed my cable, I'm going to take this cable and I'm going to feed it through here and inside the door. On the other side, right here, you have this rubber piece, and then right underneath here is kind of where it would come out, but you have no way of being able to grab that connector and feeding it through this hole. It's very tight in there. I know it's very difficult to see. Inside here, you have this rubber piece, and then you've got your cable, and that goes to the door module. So this is the door module right here. So we're gonna want to disconnect the cable first. So we've got the cable running down here, and it's this one right here. So it's got a little red tab on it, so you want to pull the red tab out. The red tab is out, and then on the other side you've got a black piece or tab that you press, and then that comes out. So there's the tab and then the red tab. And then also you do have this other smaller connector that's part of it. It goes right here. Okay, so this one does have a tab right here, and we actually have to lift on it. So you lift it and then pull on the plug. There we go. So this has a little tooth that is being held by this little clip. So there we go. So we've got the cable released. And there we go. So now, if you lift this rubber piece, you've got 3 screws right here. So they're all Torx screws. So there's 1, 2, and then there's one buried right underneath here. These screws are T30. Okay, so I got the 3 screws out, and now we just wiggle it a little bit, and then you'll get the connector. It's going to follow with it. This piece right here, this is just foam, and that just sits in there snugly, so there's nothing holding it really in place. That will come out. That's heavy cut. So it does heavy cut, so it'll allow you to remove it. And then right there you can see that's where the cable comes through. So we're going to feed that through here and hopefully fish it out through there. And I'm going to try to push that into the hole here where the bundle of wires is, and then press it in and really hard. Then essentially I'll use like a screwdriver or something to push the connector through that hole, and just be careful not to be pushing on wires or something like that so you don't pinch them. And then I'm just kind of pushing it in there until it stops. So now it's stopped. So now if we look on the other side here, man, that's going to be difficult to see. Right there, you can see that connector sticking out. So I'm going to try to grab it somehow, push it through or something, and feed it to the other side so we can come out in this same spot right here where the stock cable is. Okay, so I fed that wire through, so all of it is now on the other side where the stock cable comes out. And then on this side all I have is just this sticking out of the hole. Okay, and then at this point you can essentially connect the female side to the male side of the camera. And then, you know, we're ending up with this like really big connection here. So we're gonna want to like try to get this, you know, put right behind the mirror here or something. Figure out a way to make sure that we're not getting this pinched, and just as much as we can. I wouldn't be putting it inside of here or anything like that. You know, the mirror can close, so this is the point where it pivots. So if you have you know, the electronic folding mirrors like I do, or even if they're manual, if you go to close it, that connector is gonna go in through the hole, and it's gonna be sticking out this side. I personally would not put it in there. I would just hide it back here somewhere when we go to put it in. So this side is essentially done. We've got everything connected. The cable is routed. So the only thing that I gotta do still is now I gotta feed this cable, this whole cable, through this little grommet, because that goes into the door. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this aside a little bit and then feed the connector through. Okay, so there we go. Just push this back where it was. We're pretty much done with routing it in the mirror, so now I'm gonna put the mirror back on the door. Okay, so I ended up putting the mirror back on the car now. Okay, so on the connector here, you have this red wire that's sticking out of it, and that red wire is supposed to be connected to your turn signal. So my mirrors have the turn signal built into them, so it's easy for me to connect to it. So this is the connector for those two turn signals, and it's got a it's got a yellow wire and then a black with blue, or blue with black. So I probed them both, and it looks like the blue with black is the one that's positive, so that's where I connected the red wire to. So that's right there. Okay, so I got the mirror covers and everything put back together. The only thing I wanted to comment about is you can see the connector. It's sitting right back here, and that was kind of a pain to essentially find a place for it. There's not much room back there behind you know, all of this this stuff, and because that connector is not very flexible and it's very long, so it was hard to kind of find a home for it without, you know, it being in the way, or without pinching, you know, some kind of wire. Okay, so mirror is back together 100%. So before I do anything with this cable, actually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the speaker out first. Okay, so all my screws are out, and then disconnected here. This should just come out. It's got a little bit of glue back there. It's not really glue, but... And so now we have our grommet here. We're gonna put our hand inside where the speaker is, and then push this out. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna want to feed the cable through here. On the other side of the door, I tried to make it as clean as possible. However, this is running down here pretty far, and then once it goes in there, they actually taped over it. So it would be a lot of work and not really much benefit to, you know, undo that tape and then feed it through with the cable. So all I did was I just took a screwdriver, put it in here, and then just poked a hole on the other side, and then fed my cable through that. So essentially, here we go. I'm just gonna do that right there. It's pretty easy to poke a hole through it, and so there's that. And now I'm just going to take the other end of the cable and go in here, and then just try to fish it and get it in that hole. Okay, so I got it through. So there's the connector, and I just got to pull it through now. Okay, so there it is. So now I'm just gonna pull the whole cable through, and then put this grommet essentially back. All right, so I've got this cable now running down here. I zip tied it to the existing harnesses right down here, pokes into this grommet, goes inside, and right now it's just sticking out where the speaker was. So I can essentially put this back. Okay, so if you look inside of here, here's essentially what we have. So this is a connector, and that actually plugs into the car. So if you were to take the whole entire door off the car, you would disconnect this. So that's what we're gonna do. So if you look right on top of here, there's a little tab or a little hole right here, and this is a tab. You have to release that in order to take that connector off. So I'm going to put it right here, but this tab is actually on both sides. So we're going to have to pry on it essentially on this side so that you don't break it. You have to, I'm going to use my pick and insert it right there. I actually have this bigger pick. This one's really thick, so that one should, yeah, be able to release this much easier, but you can essentially use a screwdriver or whatever. Okay, so now this is up. There we go. Now it's all the way out. So now once that's up, as you pull this up, it's designed to release the connector away, so it will by itself move away. But once it's at the top, you have to do the rest of the work. So now, there we go. That's your connector right there. And here's the rest of it. This is where it plugs in to this. So we're trying to get this cable through this connector now. So let's see. I'm going to, like I said, move this back into the car. So or back into the door. If you look inside there, you can kind of see there is a tab on the top, and you can't really see it here, but there are clips on the bottom. So to get that out, we're going to want to pry on the bottom first, because that's the one that's got the clips. So I'm going to put my hand inside of here and see if I can do it like this. There we go. So I pushed on the bottom first, and then the top just came out because it's got this. There we go. There's this tab. So I'm going to try, and let's see, inside of here you've got the cable, and this cable is the one that runs out into this. So it is attached right here. I've got a clip, so I want to release that so I can pull this cable out. So I'm just going to use a screwdriver to kind of pry on it. Okay, so that made it release. And now I'm just going to take this and put it in at an 8 angle, and then just feed all of it back inside like that. Okay, so now there we go. So now we have this damn cable right out here, and you know, extra half a minute of work, we're going to be able to much easier add this cable and pin it and everything out here, versus trying to do it here in the door jamb where you have literally like 2 inches of work space. So okay, so we're gonna start by, to take this connector apart, we're gonna start here. This hugs the connector, so this is rubber piece, and this is hard plastic. You want to take this off first. Okay, there we go. So this comes off. We do have a zip tie right here that's holding the harness to the connector, so we want to cut that off, and then we're going to put a new one in the end. Okay, there we go. We're taking this out. There's that. Okay, we can kind of pull the rubber sleeve off of it, and you can see here's where all the wires are running. Next, we want to be able to essentially get inside of here. So this piece that's inside here that I'm touching, this is a separate piece from this, so it's not one piece. So to take that out, you take this, and you're gonna have to slide it this way. So you take this, and there you go, that's slid forward, and now that's released, and you can take this out. Let me pull this back. Yeah, there. That gives us way more room to work with. Okay, now we can kind of push that cover back, and here's the connector. So now we're gonna have to connect, you know, our camera cable to this. So let's see, this is also a 2-piece, so it's not 1-piece connector. If you look, where is it? Right here. Right here is a tab. You're gonna want to press on that. Either press on it or just flex the outer connector so that the tab is not in the way. There we go. So this released, and now we can slide this piece out. So even though this piece comes out and it has cables in it, this stock one, original one, does have these bigger wires inside of it that do not disconnect, and they do not slide out, so it's going to kind of look like this. First, I think we're going to route our cable inside of here, so I'm going to take the cable, and I'm going to want to start from the back and route it inside of this. Okay, so I finally got my cable through. This did take me a few minutes, a good like 5 minutes at least, but Inside of here, this piece has another like funnel inside of there that hugs the harness, and so I couldn't get it through there because of that. So essentially I put a screwdriver in here to pull that back, and then once the screwdriver essentially just created a hole in there, and I was able to put that through and then weave it or pull it through the grommet. So that helped out a lot. So now I can just pull this cable through all the way. Okay, so there we are. I've got this cable now through the gland here. So next we gotta feed it through this connector. So just like this. This one's super easy, so shouldn't be too hard. All right, so here we are. We've got this cable all fed through our connector, and now we're going to have to essentially do the hardest part of this. We're going to cut this cable, we're going to then strip it, and then we're going to insert it into this connector. Now we're going to want to add it to this connector somewhere. We're going to look for empty slots, so we can see, for example, here we've got 1, 2, 3, and then one right here. So this cable, inside of it, it has only 3 wires. So you have your 5 volts, your 0 volts, which is your ground, and then you have a third wire, which is your signal. So we need just 3. So because these 3 right here are right next to each other, that's the ones I'm going to use. So these are actually numbered. You can see the numbers here. They're not all numbered, but the numbers are kind of skipping. So I can see, like, here it says 1, 4, 5, 8, 11, and those numbers are the pin numbers here. So it starts at 1 and it just counts up. So I'm going to use pin number pin 12, 13, and 14. So you can actually, I don't know if you can see that. It might be a bit difficult to see, but there is a number right here which is 13, and that points to the middle one. So you've got 12, 13, and 14. So I did buy, in order to do this, you need to get these pins right here. So I did find them, and I think I mentioned them in the beginning of the video. So you do need 3 of them. I ordered more just in case, because they are very fragile, and sometimes if you try to crimp them, you can actually cut them. So I'm going to cut this cable right here where the contacts are. So we're going to want to strip the black coating, and be very careful with it because it is very soft, so you can easily cut through the other cables. And again, if you cut it or something, you damage it, you're gonna have to pull this back and do some kind of damage control. So I'm gonna be very careful. There we go. So we've got red, white, and yellow cables, and then you have these wires that are just kind of freely around them. That's the shield. Okay, so while I was off camera, I also stripped these wires. So I did very little. This is probably like 2 millimeters, maybe 3, which is, you know, like 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. So now I'm going to take and put these contacts on them. So you have to buy 2 kinds. One is a pin, and then the other one is a receptacle. So essentially this is what happens. One goes into the other, and then that's how they make contact between the door and the car. So we are going to use these inside of this connector, and then these will get used inside the car. Essentially, they will come like this in a strip. So in order to use them, you need to take cutters, and then you're going to cut them off right here, right before where the strip, this strip you're not going to need. So you cut them off like right here, right before the tab. Okay, so I just want to show you a different view of what these tabs look like. So you can see that you have these wings. There's a smaller one in the front and then a bigger one in the back. So the whole point here is that you're going to take this tab and you're going to take the wire, and then you're going to insert the metal piece of the wire into the smaller tab and then crimp it. And then you're going to take the bigger set of tabs, and then you're going to crimp it around the jacket of the wire. So this is the tool that I'm going to use to crimp those little wings. This is really the manufacturer and the part number in case you want to buy these, but I got these a very long time ago and they were kind of expensive. They were like $70-something, I think, US. And that's kind of expensive. You can get these on Amazon or eBay, and they're a little bit cheaper, more like $20-30. But anyway, so the whole point of these is that if you look, you can see how they're up top. They have this like heart-shaped shape. So essentially, you want to take this tool and crimp it so that those wings that are on the contact, they get crimped down and into something like, let's see, I already did 2 of them. So I'm going to try to show you what that looks like. Yeah, okay, so we can see, you can kind of see how those wings, they bent the tabs in a circle, kind of, and then they came down into the wire. So you want it to kind of look nice and clean like this. Okay, this one's a little bit better. You can see how they came around and then they came down into the wire. So I did that both with the front and with the rear. So now I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to use essentially this side of it. These are pretty small, so I'm going to use the smallest. So essentially I'm going to put it in my tool like this, where on the other side it's sticking out, and on this side I've got the smallest part of it in the barrel, right? And so now I'm going to take a wire and essentially like this insert it into the pin, and then once it's in there I'm going to squeeze. Okay, so I squeezed, and that essentially crimped the jacket of it, right? So right now I just have the inner one crimped into the one that's only around the actual metal part. So now I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to take the tool and put it around the outer wings. Okay, so something like this. You know, the big ones are in the barrel now, and I'm gonna squeeze, and there we go. So that essentially did the outer jacket now, like that. And I'm gonna, these are a little bit big on the outside, so I'm gonna try to squeeze that and make it a little bit smaller, a little cleaner, like these. Like this one's a little bit nice and clean, versus this is kind of all over the place. Because once I go to put it in the connector, it needs to be pretty small. So if you look at each one of these tabs on top, you can see it's got like a little tab sticking up. So if you look at the connectors, see, they go into this hole, and then the little tab is what keeps it from sliding out. So you can see that all of these have these little tabs, and that's what prevents them from sliding out. So if you look here again, you can see There's a little tab on top. So I'm going to insert these into this connector, and then you want to insert them as far as they will go until you see that tab has fully come into this window. Once you see it fully in the window, you actually, I think you will hear a small tiny click, and you'll know that that's that pin is fully in. Alright, so now that my wires are crimped, I'm going to insert them into our connector. So like I said, I've got number 12, 13, and 14 empty, so I'm going to use those. And make sure you remember those, because once you go to do the same thing with the wires inside the car, on the car's side, you go the connector there is going to be numbered as well, and it's going to be corresponding to these numbers. They're going to be matching. So you're going to want to remember which wire color you inserted into what number. So if I'm inserting red wire into number 12, you're going to want to connect the red wire on the car side to number 12 as well. So there's really no particular order to do this. It's really up to you which one you want to insert where. Just make sure you remember which one you did where. Okay, so I ended up having issues with the side cameras, the ones that I cut, so the ones in the doors and the mirrors, and they just would not work. Nothing would show up on the screen, so I ended up redoing all of my pins. I essentially cut them off, and then I made sure that I am doing them very carefully, and I also added the shield. So previously I just wrapped it around the cable, but I decided that it would be best that I put that through the connector as well. So I already did that on the other side, and then this is the right side, so I did it as well here. So I did the pins and I did the shield. So I've got 4 wires and then 4 wires here. So in the connector itself, there is I was putting the pins in slots number 12, 13, and 14. So I used number 6 for the shield. So number 6 is right here, it's empty, and the driver's side had a lot more wires filled. This side doesn't have as many. So I tried to match it so that both sides have the same pin numbers. So I used 6 for shield, and then 12 for white, 13 for yellow, and 14 for red. So the colored wires stayed the same. I just added the shield to number 6. And then now we can put this connector back. So we kind of want these to be at the same length as the rest of the wires. So I've got extra here. I'm going to pull this back just a tiny bit. Okay, like that. And then we're going to want to essentially work in the reverse order here. So, okay, so I've got a zip tie around my cables right here. Okay, so I've got my connector back to where it was in between the door jamb. And then I put the harness back in. You can see right here I zip tied it in a couple spots. Now I'm just going to put the speaker back in, and then put the door card back on. Okay, so now I'm going to take the cables that we just installed in this in the connector here. So now we have to wire in the other side, so the car side. So we're going to start by taking this side panel first off. So there's a little notch right there. You're going to insert your plastic piece, panel popper, whatever you want to call it. Just go around. That's all just on clips. So right over here we've got 8mm, so we got to take this out, and that's so that we can take this piece out down. And then underneath here we have another 8mm bolt right here. another one right here, and then another one here, and then there should also be one over here, but I know that's missing. So there should be 4 underneath, 1 on the side, so a total of 5. So those are all 8mm, and those have to come out. Okay, so now once the screws are out, you start essentially over here on this side. You can start here, put your hand in there, and then this whole piece will come out. No, sorry, right below here. This is the cutoff. So pull on this. This is just on clips. There, and then here, same thing. This one's a little bit more harder because you can't really put your hand up here. So you just got to play with it. So there we go. You just have clips here, clips here. They'll go in. They'll go in right here. So that's where they go. And then same thing on the other side. You've got clips here, which go in, you know, right there. And then I did have to take this side piece, kind of pull it out. And then once I do that, you know, this whole thing comes out. And then over here you have, this is your foot lighting. So there's just a little connector there. There's that. And then also underneath here, you do have the OBD2 connector right here. That has to come out. That has clips on the sides, so those have to be pulled on and then pull the connector out this way. There we go. This just had clips right here on the sides and on the back. First we take off the this is the handle to release the hood. So the way to get this out, on the back right here, there is this clip. So you have to take this clip out, so it sits like this, and you got to take it out. So I just use the pick, or you can use a screwdriver, and this will just slide out. Once it slides out, this handle, you just wiggle it, and it just comes off. So like that. So there's that, and I can show you what it looks like on the back as far as the clip is concerned. Okay, so once you get the hood latch handle out, there is a screw right here, and that is a torch screw, and that is a T25 screw. Get that. So once we have the screw out, this should just come out all on clips, and this piece actually does come out pretty high, and we gotta watch this. There we go. Okay, so to get once we have this cover off, we have this piece right here, and this is your hood latch that sits on here, but you have the harness essentially goes into this plastic piece that is covering it, and that's part of this. So we're gonna take this whole thing out. There is a, right in the middle here, there is a screw right about there. Okay, and then we'll have to take out this whole piece, but in the back, in order to do that, there's right here, there's a clip. So this seems to be simply just a. So once this right here, this cable, this is the harness that goes to the door, and so we need to take that out. That's where we're gonna connect to, and in the door jamb, this is where our connector is, right here, and right on top you can see there's a tab and we're gonna need to press that. You press the tab and then push in the top, and then the rest of the connector will just fall in. And so there is a hole right there. That's where our connector went. So once we go back inside, we can now feed it back, and there we go. Okay, so on this connector, to take it apart, we've got two tabs. There's one right here, and then there's one on the other side as well, right there. Okay, so yeah, I kind of bent the hell out of it, but there's where one of the tabs is, and then there's the other one, so you can kind of see them right here. So once we took the cover off, you can kind of see the connector now. So you've got same concept as on the outside. You have these pins that essentially slide into a connector right there. So I can see the numbers right here. There's one, and then they go up, and then same thing right there. You can see 3 slots open. They're empty, and that's exactly, it lines up exactly with the numbers that we had on the outside, so 12, 13, and 14. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those in here, in those 3. I'm not going to record it because, you know, it's the same concept as what we did in the door, so there's really no need for me to do that. And yeah. Okay, so I just want to show you the other side. So now I've already pinned the wires. So same concept as on the door side, except now we're using the other type of pin. So the one with the pin, right? So it's got this piece sticking out. So that's the other side. So now we're gonna use this and insert it into our connector here. So same thing, you're gonna go in 12, 13, 14. You can see where the numbers are on top right here. And we're gonna go, what did we do? We did red in 12, yellow 13, and then white 14. Once you're done, you should see, let's see if I can get the light correctly. Yeah, see, you've got 3 spots right there that are empty and there's no pins. So once we are done here, we should have 3 pins in there. That's it. So there we go. So now we have that full connection made for the door. And if we look inside, now you can see that there used to be 3 empty pins. Now we have pins. Okay, so I finished putting the connector back, so I just worked in reverse order. This is the ECU. So earlier, when we were installing the front camera, the ECU that I took out, this is it. This cable is the front camera, so that's where we routed it. We routed it under that ECU. So you can see I ran that cable right here, and then over here, and here. And then right here is where we have the cable, the camera from the left door. So both of these are right here, and now I just routed it to the RSNav. So I came up essentially right here. There's a bundle of wires, and I just went along that. It came out right here. There's a big bundle right here, and I came up right here. And you can see this is where my OBD scanner is. So I have it plugged into the OBD2 connector with an extension. That's why it's sitting underneath here. So I already ran this wire to the RSNav, but I ran the cameras alongside of that. So I have them running right here, and they come up here, and then behind this bracket, and then they go right behind the above the steering wheel, so you can kind of see them up there. So I looked for a really good place where I could run wires, and underneath where the pedals are, you know, you've got all these moving parts. There's no harnesses over there, so I didn't have anything solid that I could tie to. But I did actually realize that it would have been much easier to just go right above this. So this is your knee airbag. This is a bracket that's metal, so I could have easily just ran things. Let's see. Yeah, I could have just ran it on top of here, and then kind of like maybe tied to this bracket, and then continued running it over there. You know, making sure that they're sticking to this, and then tied it again here, and then came over here. And then on the other side of the steering wheel, you know, they come out right over there, right here. You can see both of them. They're zip tied to that orange wire. They come out here. I already have them right here. So here they are, both of them. You've got the front and the left. So if you look, it's not too hard to fish them into here. So let me see if I'm gonna put my light over here underneath. You can kind of see light shining through there. So it's very easy to feed them through. Okay, so on the right side, if you remember watching earlier, I ran the rear camera right here. And then here is the cable for the right camera from the door. So I already wired it. So I'm not going to show how to do it in here. The door is exactly the same as the other side, so there is absolutely no reason for me to re-record this. So just follow the procedure with the left side. The only thing that I am going to show you is kind of over here. Down here, where the cable is for the door, you have, this is where it is, right here. And in there, the only thing that they have, so on the other side they had a plastic piece that was part of the hood release handle. On this side, on the other case, they have this foam piece. So this is complete foam. All it was is the cable was coming through this hole, so it was just pushed into there, and that's it. So I've got essentially both cables here now for the rear camera and for the door. So what I'm going to do with both of these is I'm going to run them right here. I'm just going to attach it to one of these harnesses, and then I'm going to run them up here, and then run them over to the RSNav. I already have my unit out, so I did run them up here, so you can see them right here, and they're right here. They're coming out of the hole. On the other side, as I was looking at this, I realized that the front cable was pretty short. It started to get short, and there was no way that I was going to go you know, this way up and up there. So right now what I've got going on is I've decided that I'm actually going to run the left and the front a bit differently. So I'm going actually I'm gonna take these cables, go back, and then I'm gonna come out over here. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so at this point I've got all the cables from the cameras here, and then if you look at the unit itself, it has the corresponding cables, and all you do is, you know, take these and connect them to the corresponding connectors. Okay, so there you go, just like that. All four are connected to the RSNav, and that's really it as far as connection is concerned. So now I'm just gonna put everything back together. Okay, so when I was doing the install, I didn't disconnect the battery. I live my life on the edge. So what happened is, when I disconnected, you know, this connector from the car, and then I reconnected it, the window went down by itself. So you know, usually it does go down a little bit, but in this case it went down even further. So when I go to close the door, you can see it didn't go up. So when I did this on the other side, the window wouldn't work with the automatic part, right? So when you press the button all the way, the window should just go down all the way by itself, and that part of it didn't work. So when I would turn on the power and then I would press it all the way down, see, it didn't work. Essentially what you have to do is you have to close and open the window completely. You have to cycle it. So you press it and you hold it till it opens, let it go, cycle it again all the way, and you keep holding, let go, cycle again, go down. Okay, so all right, I gotta cycle one more time. Okay, and now I'm pretty sure it's gonna work. There we go. Okay, so next we want to change settings in RSNav. We want to make the 360 system as the default camera. So we're going to go to settings, we're going to go to reverse view, and then you want to select number 6, which is the HD camera 360 app. Okay, so today is calibration time of the 360 cameras. So I am using the cloths. However, there is 2 methods to do this. You can do it the automatic way of using the cloth, as I am right now, or you can do the manual way, which I will show you also after this, where you don't need the cloths. You can actually just use masking tape to make squares and measure it out, and then just use masking tape on the floor to make corners, and then from there you do a manual calibration, and that will allow you to calibrate the cameras without the cloths. Okay, so method 1 is using the cloths, which is the automatic way of calibrating these cameras. So there are many patterns that you can get, so this isn't the only and perfect way of doing it. There are many cloths that you can get, and they all will have different patterns, but this one was one of the approved ones that RSNav or the app supports. So within RSNav, this is pattern number 3. I think there's like 5 or 7 different patterns, but I'm gonna focus on showing you how to do number 3. So when you get these cloths, you're gonna get 4. You've got 1 in the front, 1 on the side, 1 on the side, and 1 in the back. You have to lay them out in a specific measurement. So you're gonna take one, the biggest one that has the 2 squares in a checker pattern. You're gonna place it in front of the car. I placed it about like 10 inches from the car, and you want to center it. So essentially the center of the pattern must be in the center of the car. Then you're going to take the 2 side ones, and then you're going to place the edge, so the white edge of the pattern, with this line right here. And then you're going to do the same thing on this side. You're going to place the white edge of that pattern with this line right here. Then over here, you want to take the white edge, which I can tell I didn't do it exactly, but the white edge should be with the center of the wheel. And then same thing on the other side, edge of this with the center of the wheel. And then on the back, I did the same thing. I did it about 10 inches away from the car to the edge of the white cloth. And then you want to do the same thing here. You want to make sure that this line is aligned with the cloth, and then on this side, same thing, line should be with the cloth. Okay, so in order to perform the calibration for this, you actually have to take a bunch of measurements. So you have to take a measuring tape, which I have right here, and you will have to input these measurements into RSNav. You have to do it in millimeters. I live in USA, so I will use the dumb American measurements, but then you have to convert it. So here are the measurements that you have to take. So in the front, you'll have to measure from the front of your car to the edge of your cloth. Take that measurement. Okay, then the second measurement you'll have to take from the edge, from the far edge of this square, all the way to the far edge of this square, from here. So starting here, and you want to take a measurement all the way to here. So you want to do that on both sides. You want to do it on this side, and then you want to do it on this side as well. So from this square to the back square. The third measurement that you want to do is your wheelbase, which is going to be from the center of your rear wheel to the center of the front wheel. So that's your wheelbase. The next measurement that you want to do is you want to go from the front wheel, from the center, to the front of your car. So right here, and that's called front overhang. Then you want to measure the rear overhang, which is from the center of the rear wheel to the back of your car. And then finally, you want to measure the front track, which is from the center of your tire. So not from the outside or the inside, from the center of the tire to the center of the other tire. And you want to do that both for the front and the back. So there's a front track and a rear track. You're gonna go to apps, and then you're gonna find an app called 360 view. So there it is, 360 view. You're gonna open that, and then this is what you're going to see. I've already calibrated mine, so the picture actually looks pretty good, but I'm gonna show you now how to do the calibration. So you're gonna, on the right side of the app, there's 3 dots. You're gonna click on that. That is settings. And then you're going to go up top, click on calib, which is calibration. And then you have to enter the password. Password is 4321. And then it will give you the view of all your cameras. So you're just gonna press right on the bottom here, next. And then it starts by automatically giving you the view of which pattern do you have. Now, if for some reason you don't get that automatically, you simply come over here and you click on the pattern type, which is pattern 3, which is what we're working with. So you can click on this and select which pattern. If you select one of them, it will give you the view. So from here you can choose different patterns, and all of these patterns, they're kind of explained, that they tell you the measurements that you should take. Once you pick your pattern, press confirm, and then for that pattern you're going to get all kinds of options. So you do get a message down here explaining what you have to do. So it pretty much, that message is pretty much telling you, okay, select the lens, select the sensor. Now I have absolutely no idea what lens or sensor we have. I'm simply going to assume that what is selected by default is the correct one. My lens is 8077, and then sensor is 225. That's what I have selected by default, but I don't know if that is correct. There are many lenses to select from, and many sensors to select from. Again, I have no idea which one is correct. But the next thing that you have below those, which is step number 2, it tells you to enter all of your lengths. So this is your front offset, which is the one from the bumper to the start of your cloth in the front. So I already entered them. I'm not going to change them. Then you have the right space, which is between the two squares. Then you have the left space, which is between the left two squares. And then once you minimize this, you also have the car model. And the car model is where you enter all of the additional measurements that we took. So you've got the car length, the car width, and that's all in millimeters. And then you have the wheelbase, front track, front overhang, rear track, and rear overhang. Once you enter all of those, the instructions tell you to press the button that's in the middle here. You can hide the message by pressing cancel, and then you press automatic calibration. And then calibration running, please wait. And then it will say calibration success. Now, once you have done this, then you are finished. Okay, so let's say that you didn't purchase the cloths and you would like to use the manual calibration. So with the manual calibration, you don't need the cloths. However, it is still the same amount of work. You still have to do measurements and you still need marks on the pavement. So with the manual calibration, what you have to do is you have to place pretty much these patterns on the pavement by marking them somehow on the pavement. So the way I would recommend is using masking tape. And so you can do a manual calibration based on all of the patterns that are in RSNav. Now, I think that pattern number 2 is the simplest because pattern number 2 only has the black squares in each corner of the car and it doesn't have the checkered patterns. So it's just simply less work. And based on that, it's pretty much the easiest. So what you have to do is you take the masking tape and you're gonna mark each corner of the square on the pavement. So I did an example right here, pretty much like this. And Daniel Kim posted an example on the RSNav Facebook page, and this is what he posted. So he gave an example of the measurements, and this is what they should be like. So pattern number 2, you have to mark a square in the front left and the front right, and then do the same thing in the back of the car. So take the tape, mark it here, 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 and then same thing on the other side. So the measurements are right here. It's pretty much 1 meter by 1 meter square, and then 1.2 meters wide, 4.4 meters entire, and then between the squares it's 2.2 meters, and then the measurements of this square are the same. So you're going to take the tape on the pavement, make a mark in each square, and then you'll do that there, you'll do that in the back, and then you'll do that in that corner as well. Okay, so once you're done marking your 4 squares around the car on the pavement, you come into the car and you can start the calibration. Now, obviously I already have the cloths, so I'm gonna use the cloths as the examples. However, the process is going to be the same for you. So you go into the settings, you go to the calibration page, password is still 4321, you press next, and then you're going to select pattern number 2. So that's the one that has just the 4 squares all around the car. And they provide you with distances, so they show you where you have to measure for the calibration. So once you make all those measurements, press confirm, and then you can, from here, make sure you enter all of your measurements, which are still the same. Car length, car width, wheelbase, front track, overhang, and rear track and overhang. And then for the pattern, enter the measurements. And then you're going to press the button that's labeled manual calibration. Once you go there, you're gonna get these points. And what you're going to do is you're going to take these points and you're going to select where all those corners are on those squares. So you can drag each one of these points like this, and then once you have them kind of in the vicinity, you select one and then you go here and you calibrate them precisely into the corner, just like that. And then you can press next point, so it will automatically switch to the next point, and you can see this one's almost there, so we will get it calibrated.
GPS signal lost.
So you want to select the corner and then keep doing that, and then you'll just keep doing that until you get all the squares. So you got this square, and then of course you've got this one too, so you have to drag all of these and then precisely select the corners. Once you're done, you're going to press confirm, and then once you get to the next pages, you'll get the sides as well. You'll have to select the front and the back square, and then pretty much keep going. It will show you the back and all the sides, and once you get to a certain point, once you enter all of them, so like right here, you have to select the squares, keep doing that, and it will select the squares as close as possible as it can, but you might still have to adjust them a little bit, and then keep doing that until you get to the end. And once you get to the end and you go through all the images, it will either say success or failed. If it's successful, then it will look correctly like it's supposed to. I actually had it fail once. That's because the squares, when I was trying to do the manual manual calibration, the squares were completely off the screen and I could not see them. So essentially what I did was I tried my best to select them as much as I could, and then I reran the calibration, and that brought the picture a little bit better into spec, and then I was able to see the squares, and then I redid it again. So once you're done with that, then this is it and you're done. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the pins that I got for the door jambs. So this is the socket pin that I got. So here's the part number for it. So that's the manufacturer part number. And then the other one is the pin right here. And this is the manufacturer part number for it. So you can essentially get these anywhere. I got these from this website called Mauser.com. They're pretty much the best one. They always seem to have a very good price and always seem to have these available. But you can also look on other websites like digikey.com. They are very popular. Arrow.com, they're also a popular website, and they should have these contacts available. But let's say that they don't have these available, or you're having a hard time finding them. So you can start by, obviously you can take the part number and you can just type it into Google and you'll get results of websites that might have them, but that's not always a very good way of finding them. So the other way that you can do it is you can go to the manufacturer's website, which is TE Connectivity, is the one that makes these. And you can go to, so their website is just te.com, and you can go to their website and simply type in the part number, and then you'll be able to find the part number or the part. And they actually have a list of distributors that where it actually shows who has them in stock, and you can from here go and find them or go to their website and buy them. But not a lot of these. Sometimes these are not actually accurate. I've actually had that happen where these were not up to date. So, and also it might happen that you might come here and you'll find that there is nobody that has them in stock. So if that happens, there is another way that you can do this. So if you come to their website, find the part, and then go down and go to product drawings. If you go there and you click on the product drawing, you'll get this. So you get a drawing of the product, but on it you'll see that there is a table right here, and this table lists all of the part numbers that they make for this component. So the difference between all of these is simply these tabs, which is essentially just the wire size. So they will make these tabs for different wire sizes. So the one that I got doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use that one. You can use other ones with different wire sizes and you'll still be able to make them work. So if you look at this table, right here are all the part numbers, and then they show you right here what wire size they are for. So you want to essentially stick to these ones right down here where it says these are for the standard cable, because they do have these up here, which are also single wire sealing system, and these are meant to be going into connectors that are waterproof. So what that means is these will have these tabs much bigger in the back, so they can have a seal on it. So they will look something like this, where you have the contact that crimps onto the wire, and then these back tabs are much bigger, so they can also grab this seal. And this seal is so that once this pin goes into the connector, it seals the plug, and it is waterproof. The connector in the car is not made for that, so you won't be using these seals. So you want to focus on these and get any of these. Now, if you look, the wire size that's in the car that I was focusing on was this, so 0.25 to 0.35 millimeters squared. But when I tried to search for these three, and this at this point, once you pick the, once you come to this wire size, you have three different ones, and those are just gonna be what the finish on them is. So whether they are tinned, gold plated, or silver plated, or something like that. So it really won't matter which one of the three you get, but you definitely want to focus on the right wire size. I did, when I was doing research on this, I found out that I couldn't find these at all available. So what I did is I actually jumped to the sealing ones, and I actually got this one. So you can see 1718758-1, which is exactly what that is, 1718758-1. And that's the one I ordered because that was the correct wire size, and I didn't really care about these rear wings because you can actually cut them a little bit and then you'll still be able to crimp them correctly. But it doesn't really matter which one of these you get. If you get them much bigger or way smaller, it's gonna start getting a bit difficult to crimp them, but it's still possible, and it'll still work just fine. So that's just a little bit of advice, and you can kind of tell right here on the side. They kind of show you, you know, what the wings look like. So the bigger wire size you go, the bigger these wings are, and you're gonna have a bit harder time crimping them. So yeah, so that's really about it that I wanted to say about these. Okay, so I'm also going to talk about the camera mount and where you can get the mount itself printed. So I did already post the file itself for that piece that I designed. I posted it on the RSNav Facebook page, so the file is uploaded there, and you can see here's the link for it. And also, so the place that I usually get 3D printed stuff from is Xometry.com. They are fairly quick and they are always very cheap. So this is where I go, Xometry.com, and then you can go to their solutions and click on 3D printing service. And from here, it's very easy to order things from them. You don't have to call them or anything. Everything is done online. So the way that you do it is once you have the file, which I have right here, you can just drag it onto their website, and as you can see, it'll analyze the file, and then it will show you what the piece is that you're trying to print, and then it'll give you options. If you can wait a little bit longer, it'll be cheaper. If you need it right away, it'll be a little bit more expensive. But from here, they pretty much give you, you know, all the options. Definitely make sure that you change the color, because white is probably not what you want, but that's what they default to. You probably want to change it to like black or something. That'll look better on the car. So from here, they have a bunch of different colors, but you can do black. But anyways, so once you pick out what you need, you can place the order right here from the website. Last time I checked, to get these are getting printed in USA, and to get it shipped to USA, it was about roughly $20. So it's fairly cheap for something that you're getting printed, and it's a custom piece. So yeah, that's about it about that.